Wife cheated on me and left. I got even. My wife, 29, and I, 30, had been married for 5 years and had a 4-year-old kid at the time of the incident in 2008. The year before, I caught her just as she was ready to do a cheating act. This time she confessed to me that she had been cheating on me and that she was leaving me for good. She wanted to devote her time and energy to her new relationship, so she only spent one night with our child every 2 weeks instead of 2 nights every week. The fact that you said that made me quite happy. My first concern was how to best aid our daughter at this tough time. That didn't leave much time for socializing, but that didn't stop me from having a good time with my friends. The specifics of our divorce had been made public, as had the fact that I was a full-time parent, except for 2 nights a month when I was away from the house. My ex-closest wife's friend, her future sister-in-law, a preschool teacher, the mother of a fellow student, a mother from dance class, were among the women with whom I had relations over the next year. I also had relations with a few others that my former wife didn't care for. Each and every one of them had some kind of connection to my ex-wife. I had no intention of hurting my ex's sentiments. I think that they merely arose as a result of my restricted availability to extend my dating pool. That turned out to be a fantastic bonus in hindsight. Story 2. My 20F friend, 21F, is going to great lengths to prove that my boyfriend, 24M, is cheating even though I know he isn't. As a result, I'd moved in with Emily, whom I met a few years ago. In the course of a year, we became fast friends and admittedly moved in together for the sake of convenience, but we have stayed devoted to our relationship, which has unquestionably strengthened. Sam is my boyfriend, with whom I have been with for about a year and a half. Since Sam's job relocation, we've been dating for a little over a year, with our relationship blossoming into a long-distance relationship (LDR) roughly 5 months ago. I had no idea Emily and Sam were experiencing troubles until recently. In the beginning, she looked to know how to strike the right balance between socializing with Sam and giving us our privacy, which was appreciated. However, it wasn't until he returned home from his trip that she started making harmless statements about how funny it would be for Sam to have a side chick in his new city, or that I was genuinely Sam's side chick and he'd return to his family. No way could this be factual. Sam has always been honest and frank, and he has always said that he quickly rejects girls who try it on with him. As for the family, I supported him in moving into his small 2-room apartment, not a family mansion. I've typically been able to shut this off as soon as Emily starts doing it, but recently she's gone out of her way to make me believe that my boyfriend is cheating on me. In the course of a dinner conversation the other night, she told me that she had proof that Sam had slid into the DM of one of her friends, and she showed me a screenshot of Sam's hidden Twitter account hitting on her friend around 9 months ago. This was not Sam's username at all, and just in case it had been a secret account, I searched the username and discovered a profile of a 15-year-old boy called Sam. I immediately deleted the account. No matter how many times I told Emily that this was my Sam, she argued that he was almost probably using this kid for catfishing purposes, or that he was Sam's younger brother. Sam has no younger siblings. Her SOS message arrived in my inbox last night, stating that there was an emergency. However, when I arrived home to investigate, she informed me that the emergency was that Sam's Facebook relationship was not listed on his page, and that it was clear that he was attempting to maintain his single status. It is not public because I asked that it not be, as I could not believe that my relationship status should be known to the public. We are in a relationship on Facebook, but just to our friends and family. The second time that I brought this up with Emily, she maintained her position that he may still be dating someone else, while also implying that I had been psychologically coerced by him to keep the relationship secret, which I had not. I'll also mention that I've never told Emily that I thought Sam will cheat on me in his new city, since I don't believe it to be true. Her jealousy or desire for him may have been justified, but she is in a relationship of her own. She has been dating for 2 years, and she has a partner who comes over 2 to 3 evenings a week. Initially, I was intending to put her on a strict information withholding regimen about our connection, but shall I go any further? Update. In front of Emily, I explained that I would not be addressing Sam with her at any point in the future. She made many attempts to persuade me that listening to her was in my best interests, but she was forced to back off. The drama has come to an end, until everything started to go wrong. Earlier this week, Emily's boyfriend wrote me a rage-filled message in which he called me every derogatory name in the book, including home wrecker. In response to my incredulous question, He informed me that he was well aware of my having cheated on Sam and persuaded Emily to do the same with him. He realized Emily was on Tinder and conversing with strangers, and she had even met up with a handful of them and done whatever she wanted with them. Her doing this was completely unknown to me, given that she always indicated she was heading to her boyfriend's residence when she left the house for the evening. I told him unequivocally that I had not pressured Emily to cheat on him, and that I was not cheating on Sam with another man. When I wasn't in the apartment, he claimed that Emily had told him that I had gone out with some Tinder guy on a certain evening. When I wasn't there, I was in Sam's city, celebrating his birthday with him, and I had the timed and dated photographs to prove it. Emily, of course, was aware of my whereabouts at the time. However, I haven't gotten any further text messages from her boyfriend in the meanwhile, so I'm not sure whether he believes me. In less than 10 minutes, Emily was yelling at my door, alleging that her former boyfriend was a psychopath and that she had only cheated because he was violent. I can't confirm this, but I also can't say this was a complete fabrication, and she was frightened of his reaction, so she accused me. She then said that if I had ended my relationship with Sam as she intended, I would have understood her point of view. That, I'll admit, aroused my attention a little. I questioned her about what she meant, and she said that she wanted us both to be free from our wives, but she knew I wouldn't cheat on Sam, so she did all she could to convince me that he was straying in order for me to abandon him. The door smashed in her face as she tried to get out. Even if she really wanted to leave her own abusive relationship, her persistent attempts to persuade me to leave my spouse for her own selfish gain have convinced me to just cut her off. I didn't even wait until Emily got out of bed this morning before putting my plan into action. My landlord has been notified and has been quite kind. We're towards the end of our lease term after all, so I'm breaking my lease and spending the night in a friend's spare room until I figure out where I'm going to live next. I'm debating whether or not to write her a parting note, but she doesn't deserve one. In the last several months, I've been wondering whether or not I should move to be with Sam, and I feel this will play a huge influence in my decision. In addition, numerous of the comments on the original post indicated that something had occurred between Sam and Emily when he was still residing in this location, and Emily was trying to help me comprehend this without disclosing what had occurred. When others commented, I didn't answer because I knew the types of replies I'd received to the statement, "I know he hasn't cheated on me with Emily," which I know he hasn't. He never spoke to Emily as a person, and he was only cordial to her because she was my roommate, which I appreciated. The chances of Sam cheating Emily were about the same as the chances of me cheating on any of his friends, family, or housemates. Even while I understand that some of you still feel that he cheated or will cheat in the future, and I can't definitively claim that he did or will not, I'm not going to risk my relationship by dwelling on the what-if scenarios in my head. Thank you for taking the time to read the long story.